Preview season's finally over, which means that we can finally talk a little bit about recruiting. We haven't gotten to do a whole lot of that over the summer, but we're going to take a look at the current 2026 top 5 to top 10. We're also going to take a look at really just the overall amount of spending in college football. Are the teams that are spending the big money succeeding? We'll cover that topic as well because I think it's a hot topic around the world of college sports and around the name of NIL and how that works. So I think it's an interesting topic. We'll bring that up today. And then we got the American Conference preview today. No longer named the American Athletic Conference, just the American Conference. Really excited for that as well. We got plenty to talk about, plenty of opinions to give today. So let's go ahead and get into it. I welcome you guys into Armchair Analysis. Today is August 14th, 2025. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're new around here, leave a like, subscribe specifically. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers by the time we hit week 0. We are just under 9 days away. You're in the double upload today. I had an issue with yesterday's upload. I don't really know what happened. I had to redo it this morning. So you're getting 2 today, but the one from this morning is from yesterday, the Sun Belt preview. Make sure you check that out. We had a lot to talk about. The only conference left with divisions, by the way. So definitely a lot there. As it's obvious, still fighting off this sinus infection, so still kind of going through that one and going through the motions with that, but nonetheless, that part is what it is, I suppose. We all got a cross to bear, and I guess mine today or the last week has been this. So, it is what it is. Blessed for another day, and thank y'all again for tuning in. Let's go ahead and talk about today's topics, and we'll go ahead and get started with the one we led with, and that is the 2026 recruiting rankings. Currently sitting as this. These are your top 5: Georgia, USC, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Alabama. It hasn't always looked like this, though. USC, for a while, was out to a pretty big lead in recruiting rankings. Granted, they'd had plenty more commitments as well. They were up above 30 before anybody else. Georgia's since caught up. They are now at 31. They lead with 2 5-stars. Lead by about half of a point over USC in these rankings. Notre Dame has 3 5-star recruits. They come in at 3rd with 27 commitments. Texas A&M, of course, has a 5-star recruit, 27 commitments so far. And then Alabama with 21 commitments. We also have Texas in 6th, Oregon 7, LSU 8, Ohio State 9, Tennessee 10. Michigan, I think, is the first team outside of the top 10 in 11th. And really, the team I really wanted to talk about, in a sense, was Michigan because of just the work that Jerome Moore's done. I think it goes kind of unnoticed with all the other rumors and allegations going on. We have rumors that, by the way, the NCAA's findings and overall punishment is going to be announced in the next week or so. Should that happen, we'll kind of get an idea. The rumors are that that's coming out. To be determined. I don't want to speak on anything until we actually see it, but going to be interesting. But Jerome Moore, even through all that, has been able to put together a really solid class here for 2026, and even 2027 starting off strong. Jerome Moore is a heck of a recruiter, and he's coached some pretty solid football games, even given the lack of resources they had last year on the field, especially at the quarterback position. Going into this year, I do expect the turnaround for this team. And I think that the recruiting is going to be a big part of it, but it's just going to be this team is going to finally have a quarterback who can play, an offense that is actually has the potential for the big play, but can also still run the ball at you. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch, but the ability to keep the recruiting going through all that says a lot about what Jerome Moore's capable of. And I think it should really cause concern whenever this punishment, not punishment, whatever it is, drops and that news gets released. It's a kind of a scary thought for at least the Big Ten, because if they're doing that with all this hanging over their head, what can they look like on the back end? And maybe it doesn't change. I mean, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but there is that possibility that it does change, and this team does start picking up and fighting for more, even more higher rated 5-star recruits versus what they were before. to be determined, but certainly noted and seen what Sherman Moore's doing over there. Tennessee, a team that I predicted to not be all that great this year. They're doing it on the recruiting path. They're going to be good. They're not going anywhere. It's just a 1 year, I think, a one down year type of thing, and they'll be bouncing back. They're going to be interesting to watch, but that's where your top 10 sits right now. We'll continue to look at this kind of week over week, especially through the season as we get more commitments as we lead up to early signing day, where we're going to really take a deep dive to the happenings around there. So another topic that I've seen a lot of, and it's popped up here and there. Of course, Ohio State noted had to have spent $20 million at least on a roster. Excuse me. Noted to spend a $20 million at least on a roster last year that went and won a national championship. Ole Miss was noted to spend a good amount of money on the portal and a roster that didn't even make the playoffs. Well, what about Texas Tech in 2025? They've spent a lot of money on what they brought in, and they're continuing to spend money in the recruiting path and everything. Is Texas Tech going to be able to do, kind of follow that pattern? Texas has spent a lot of money. Will Texas do? And those are just some names. I'm not saying that. Michigan just spent, what, $10 million, something like that, on Bryce Underwood? I should probably know the number, but given it's been talked about so much. But the point being, is this worth it? Is the spending method what's worth the time? Because we've only really seen one team succeed when spending that kind of money. And, let me rephrase it. We've only seen one team in this NIL era win when spending that kind of money, being Ohio State. Now, this NIL era is very early. It's very fresh into this. I mean, this is the baby steps that we're taking into this this new era of college football still, even in 2025. But I think that it is kind of going to be, can you follow the Ohio State pattern, which is have a solid baseline of a roster and then build around it, bring in guys around it, use the portal around it. I mean, they did not hit it hard. They went for a quarterback in Will Howard. They went and got Caleb Downs, filled in a few other spots here and there, offensive line, defensive line, really just O-line though, and move on. And that's what they did. And they did a fantastic job of that, and I think that's really a huge credit to Ryan Day and what his vision was for this team in 2025 and his ability to ultimately move them on, win a national championship last year in 2024. Now, to counter that, we've also seen some other styles work. Obviously, the Michigan and Ohio State patterns worked because both of these teams did the same thing the last 2 years, which was bring back their big pieces and then portal in some help in other places. Ohio State did a better job at the portal, but Michigan did a very similar job. And I think that those things all together, when you can bring back a really good core of players who already know the team, know what they need to do, know the coaching staff, know the playbooks and the schemes that they're playing, and then you add a couple really big players or really solid players onto that, I think it only helps. When you're building a whole roster around the transfer portal, that's when things can get a little dicey. That's when things can get a little confusing. And that's where I reserve a little bit on Texas Tech this year. A lot of people are super high on them. I'm high on them. I think they're going to be really good. But they're replacing a lot of this defense with portal talent. Will it be as good as everybody's expecting? Will they mesh together as we're expecting or as they hope they will? Will they pick up the defense as they expect to? I mean, what does it really turn them into? There's so many questions to ask about this, again, how everybody's doing it. Texas has done it pretty well, kind of addressing their needs within the portal, but again, keeping their main core of players. I think that's really the best way to do it. A lot of people will certainly agree. I don't think I'm having a very high, or a very outlandish thought process here, but just kind of giving generalized thoughts on that whole thing. Let me know what you guys think, though. What do you guys think that spending will look like over the next 5 or so years? I think it's only going to increase, but what do we think it's going to kind of look like? How teams are going to approach their spending going forward? Again, I apologize, still a little under the weather, but power through. Hopefully, getting through this week, and then I'll be taking the weekend off as we would typically do a Monday through Friday here, and then we'll be back on Monday next week. Power Four previews. My ultimate college football road trip comes up next week. Um, we also have my top 25, my college football playoff predictions, all that stuff before week 0. And then between week 0 and week 1, it is a full steam ahead on week 1 previews, big topics, week 1 storylines, all that stuff. We got it all for you, including Tyler's Take 10, which is going to be, as always, the basically my 10 best bets for the weekend, and I do that every single week going through the season. Last year we were above 500. 2 years ago we were above 500. Made a decent amount of money last year. Quite a significant amount of money last year. So I'm trying to get going forward with that again. I'll explain to you guys how I do things, what I like to do, and again, understand it's not betting advice. It's not me telling you to bet something. It's just me putting out there what I would do and what I'm currently looking at and liking going into the season, as I continue to navigate the world of sports betting, like the space of it, and kind of understanding how lines work and stuff like that. It's been a fun journey the first few years we've done it, and it's been successful. We've been above 500 both years. Looking to continue that in 2025 and maybe even push for above 60%. I think is what I would consider to be successful. We kind of snuck above 500 the last few years. I'd love to be about 60 to 70% this year. I think it's going to be my goal. With that said, and I apologize, but with that said, we move on. And before we do, I just want to ask you guys again, if you're new around here, leave a like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 by week 0. So I'm just a little over a week away. So I think we can do it, though. We have plenty of people here tuning in every single show. I think we can certainly hit 200. So I'd appreciate it. I thank y'all so much, and appreciate y'all even just tuning in and spending your time here on Armchair Analysis. So with that said, let's move on. American Athletic Conference preview. As we've done for every other conference, we go alphabetical order, giving you guys names that we think are going to be key players, names to watch for every team, giving you guys my standings, player of the year, coach of the year, and conference championship predictions, all here in this very video. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about it. And we start with our names to watch. Man. Start with our names to watch, and start with Army. Now I got linebacker Caleb Fortner. I think he's a guy who led the team in tackles last year, was one of the leaders in tackles last year for this team. A guy who can really, I think, kind of help solidify that front seven, which is going to be really good this year. Army last year was predicated on the fact that their offense was good, along with the defense being solid. This year it's going to be about the defense. How many plays can they make? And then the offense just has to kind of hang around until then. I think it's going to make them a little bit more beatable this year. They were unbeaten in conference play and regular season action. I think they're going to be a lot more susceptible to lose. But this defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. They're going to lose a lot of one-score games or play a lot of one-score games, I think, here in 2025. At Charlotte, I got quarterback Grayson Loftus. This is year 1 for Tim Alvin, and he's done really good with solid quarterbacks. He brings a lot of guys over with him to Charlotte. He's got some really solid players coming back on the defensive side of the ball. The quarterback position, though, and the most important on the field, it's hard to get away from it sometimes, and specifically here when you have a quarterback, multiple quarterbacks, who have not played it down on their respective roster, or at least meaningful snaps. Grayson Loftus has gotten some meaningful snaps. Of course, when Riley Leonard got hurt a couple of years ago at Duke, Loftus stepped in and played some decent, meaningful snaps and was I think, a serviceable quarterback. Bodes well for what they could be here in year 1 under Tim Alvin. But they lost a lot as well. I mean, I think they only have 2 returning starters total on this entire team. They have a lot of holes to fill. It's going to be interesting to see how the year rolls on for this squad. Looking at East Carolina. I always say Eastern, even though I shouldn't. I literally used to live like an hour from there. Love that place. Dowdy Ficklen's one of my favorite stadiums in the group of 5. But I got quarterback Caden Hauser. I think that he's going to be the man on this team this year. I have a lot of high praise for this guy. one of my favorite group of 5 quarterbacks. I think he's going to be a big surprise to a lot of people, put himself kind of on the map. He's a guy that I'm just really excited to see what he does looking at year 1 under Blake Harrell. At FAU, we're going at quarterback again, but this is probably my favorite player in this conference in terms of well, not Navy players. Um, Caden Veltkamp is a guy who I think is going to lead this FAU team a very long way this year. He is going to be quarterbacking Zach Kidley's offense, meaning that they are going to be potent. Caden Veltkamp was really solid at Western Kentucky, decided to transfer out, go to FAU, and I think he's going to step in and be absolutely fantastic. Very high expectations for FAU this year because of what he can bring on the offensive side of the ball. This team, I think, is going to lead the conference in scoring offense. We'll see what happens, but I really like FAU this year. I think they are one of the biggest dark horses, one of the most slept-on teams in the group of 5, plain and simple. At Memphis, I got running back Sutton Smith. He went down in the first quarter last year of the season with a knee injury. He is coming back from that knee injury. Expected to be a starting running back. I'm curious to see what he looks like. Did he lose a step? Is he still going to be solid? He's going to be sitting there behind with Brendan Lewis in the backfield, coming over from Nevada. I think Brendan Lewis is going to be a good quarterback too. I could have put him on this list. Decided to go away from the quarterbacks for a little bit. Sutton Smith's a guy that I'm really looking for out of the Memphis team. See what they can bring to the table. They lose a lot, but I still think they're going to be a really solid team this year. Navy, I could just say Blake Horvath and be done with it, but I'm going to say Eli Heidenreich. We all know about Eli Heidenreich. We've seen him play. We've heard about him. He's made plenty of plays over the course of the year. He is one of the most dynamic running backs I've ever seen at any of the service academy schools, plain and simple. And he is coming back this year, and I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm super excited to see what he brings to the table, how much better he can be. This is a dangerous Navy team. They bring back almost everybody on both sides of the ball. They're going to be good. They're going to be fast, which is something that we have. And they're not fast in terms of like G or Power 4, but they are fast in the group of 5. They're going to be able to get to guys. They play the game at a perfect size for the group of 5 as well. They can step up and they can win a lot of games. This might just be the best team in the American. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Navy guy. I'm not saying that because of any other reason. But they are the most proven team. They have a lot returning. And they have, I would say, some of the best athletes on the field currently out of this conference. There's not too many teams that can match what they've been able to do last couple of years. They're going to be fun to watch this year. If Alex Teske comes back at the fullback position, the defense looks really good. Brian Newberry has done a great job so far, and for those of us who did not like losing Ken Niumatalolo, Brian Newberry has exceeded our expectations, and I say our because I'm one of those people. Excuse me. North Texas, I got Miles Coleman, wide receiver. A guy they're looking at to break out. Loved him in spring practice. They're liking him early in fall camp. Miles Coleman's a guy I think is going to get a lot of run this year. Rice, I got linebacker Ty Morris. He's the leader of this defense, and they're expecting him to play that position, play that role very well. Might even be the green dot guy. Not 100% certain on that fact because, again, I don't have the inside access, and you kind of need that to know who's going to get that early. But if I were to guess, I would say Ty Morris has a potential to land that green dot. At USF, we got running back Cartavius Norton. I think this is a guy who can really become a dynamic playmaker and take some of the running pressure off of Byron Brown. This is a team that struggled to run the ball last year outside of the quarterback position. And even Byron Brown had some issues last year being able to really make those dynamic plays. I think you can take some of the pressure off of him, allow him to be the passer that he is. Allow him to run where necessary, but allow him to at least be able to focus on being more of a passer. Get the running backs more involved in this running game. That'd be a big deal. I think Cartavius Norton's going to be a huge help to that transfer in from Charlotte. At Temple, I got running back Jay Ducker. Followed Casey Keeler to Temple out of Sam Houston. A guy they're really pumped to see what he's able to do again this year, but this time just in a new uniform. Tulane, just the whole defensive line for me. John Summerall seemed to love them out of spring camp, loves them early in fall camp. Looks like it's going to be kind of the strength of this defense. So just the entire defensive line position group is kind of what they got from me. A lot of transfers coming in, too many guys to name, just one. So I wanted to give the whole group their love and props. Tulsa, we're back at quarterback for just a minute. I got Kirk Francis. He was a starter last year, had some turnover issues, but ultimately was serviceable for them. It's year one for Trey Lamb, and a lot of people are not excited about him. Do not really know what to expect from him. I don't really know if I expect anything great out of him, but he could certainly surprise some people. We'll see what happens. But Kirk Francis at quarterback is the guy that I'm looking for here out of the Tulsa camp. At UAB, we got running back Isaiah Jacobs. They're looking forward to what he's going to bring to the run game. So that's kind of what I got from them so far. And UTSA linebacker Vic Shaw. This is a team that returns 11 starters on offense and 0 on defense, but Vic Shaw has played the most snaps and the most considerable, the most crucial snaps, at least of anybody on the defense. Therefore, he's kind of getting some of the attention from me as a guy that I think needs to step up as a leader for this team that certainly could use one going into this year with so little experience back on this team. So, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings that I have predicted here in 2025. All right, as you see it up on the screen, these are my predictions for the 2025 season here in the American Athletic Conference. And as you can see, there are some surprises here. Number one, I have Navy at number one. I think they are going to, I don't know if they're going to run the table. I haven't seen exactly what they looks like, but I think they're going to be no more than a one-loss team in this conference. I think it's just the experience, the overall playmaking ability of the offense, and the biggest thing here is we saw it last year. It's pretty much the same offense as last year in terms of personnel. And you know what's coming at you when Navy's playing you, and a lot of teams could not stop it. And it's really due to that key playmaking ability of Blake Horvath, Eli Heidenreich, Alex Teska, Nathan Kent plays pretty well out of the wide receiver position. They're really looking forward to what they can bring to the table this year. I think Navy is a prime candidate to go out and win the regular season here. I got Tulane at number 2. I think the reason they come in at 2 for me is just that they're working in a lot of new personnel, and that's part of the blessing and curse of being a really good team and having a really good coach is that you do lose a lot of players. And John Summerall, I think, is one of the best and probably most underrated and under-talked about coaches in college football. What he brings to this table for this team, I think, is going to be too much for them to just be kind of fall off and not be in the contention for the conference title. I just think that it's going to take them maybe a little too long to get things sorted out and correct to where they lose a game or two. Maybe they shouldn't end up at number 2 in the conference standings. At number 3, we got UTSA. Really like what they're doing offensively. Owen McCown seems like he's going to come back and have another really good year. But this entire team looks like they're going to be really good once again under Jeff Traylor. Zach Kitley really opened himself up for Coach of the Year if they can bowl this off, or even better than 4th in conference. I cannot state how much I like Zach Kitley. Love what this offense is going to look like. I think Caden Belkamp's the perfect quarterback to fit into this offense. This is going to be, I think, a very, very successful year for FAU. At number 5, we got USF. I think that they're a good team. Put a lot of good stuff together. They're just, we'll see what Alex Galesh can do, because I really like Galesh. As much as I like Zach Kitley, I love Alex Galesh just as much. And when we're talking about a conference that has so many new coaches, a lot of the experienced coaches are going to rise to the top of this. And, USF's going to have, I think, a really good year themselves. We'll see what Byron Brown can do. We'll see if the running game can actually step up. I know that's what I said, names to watch. But it's a big deal because I think it's something that they need to really focus on, is finding a way to run the ball better. At number 6, I got Memphis, and I think it's just, a lack of experience coming back for them. The defense, I think, is going to struggle a little bit. Offensively, I trust Ryan Silverfield and what he brings to the table as a coach. They'll be fun to watch. ECU is a team that I think is a sleeper in this whole thing. Look, I I really like Blake Harrell. He's getting promoted up as from defensive coordinator to replace Mike Houston, and they are certainly excited for what's going to be the future of this team. Quarterbacks like Caden Hauser in this conference bring a lot to the table, but when you have continuity from a coaching staff, even if it's in a coaching change, bringing forward, promoting from within, keeping a lot of that chemistry together, I think sometimes can work out in your favor, and ECU seems to think they've done the right thing. So ECU, even with a new coach, I think will be up here. At number 8, I got Army, and again, I think it's just the offense is going to struggle. And the defense is going to have their moments where they struggle a little bit. They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be able to go 8-0 again. But I think they're going to be solid. I think they may end up above 500, but just the overall schedule, that they're going to have some troublesome moments. I think it'll put them back at 8th. North Texas comes in at number 9. Unfortunately, losing Chandler Morris over the offseason, I think hurts them a lot more than you expect. And they'll ultimately kind of fall a little bit out of favor here throughout the course of this year. Charlotte at 10. I love Tim Albin. Really am excited for what they can be, but it's going to be kind of a building year, figure out who they are and where they're lacking. Temple. I think Casey Keeler is going to have an improved year for Temple versus what they were last year. So I'm actually really excited to see what they do post Stan Drayton. Rice, they're bringing in a new head coach. I believe they have, if I'm not mistaken, it's Scott Abel, but I'm going to make sure I get that correct. Because I do not want to be... Well, I don't like to be wrong. So, am I dumb? I was right. Scott Abel. Okay. Year one, it's just the biggest thing here is they got a big quarterback battle going on. They got 3 guys battling for a position, including AJ Padgett, who seemingly has been there for about 10 years. We'll see what they end up doing, but for right now, I got Rice at 12. Number 13, UAB. It was between them and Tulsa for last. I didn't really consider Rice in that position, and I ended up going with UAB over Tulsa, but I could certainly see that switching around. I don't know that I love Trent Dilfer. I certainly don't know that I really have any love for Trey Lamb either as a coach, or at least and when it comes to what their potential is for this year. So we'll see, but they end up at the bottom of the conference for me. With that said, though, you see the top 2, and I'm taking Navy to beat Tulane in the conference championship as well. They'll be able to host it in Annapolis, and I think they'll be able to get the job done. I just think that their overall discipline, overall talent level is really more than that we've seen in a really long time, obviously. And we'll see what it ends up being. We'll see how they go. But for right now, yeah, I really like Navy to win the conference in year. Well, it's not year 2 for them, but it'll be really interesting to watch. Player of the year, I got Blake Horvath from Navy. I just think that he is going to be the best player in the conference, plain and simple. Helping lead them to that conference title. Coach of the year, I got Zach Kitley though. I think that if they're truly able to be that good as I've placed them, I know a lot of people do not see that. I think they're predicted, 9th biathlon? Yeah, they're predicted to be 9th in the American biathlon. Which is fine. I don't mind being the odd man out here, but I really like Zach Kitley. I think people are putting a little bit too much credit on Joey McGuire for what they were last year at Texas Tech. I think Zach Kitley is a really solid coach, and a lot of people are going to get to see that this year. They're going to be the surprise team for a lot of people, but he's going to be the guy winning Coach of the Year for me. So, with that said, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your predictions are for the American Athletic Conference, or the American, as we know it now. Tomorrow, Friday, we have the Mountain West preview show. I'm really excited for that one. We'll be talking all about, of course, Boise, who was in the playoff last year, but UNLV is trying to make a run. San Jose State, I think, is a good sleeper team. And Hawaii happens to be a favorite as of the last time I saw against Stanford in Week 0. We'll talk about all things Mountain West tomorrow. We'll have some other differentiating topics as well to go over. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what we get on tomorrow's show. So make sure you stick around, make sure you tune in, leave a like, again, subscribe if you're new. And we will see you guys tomorrow with the Mountain West Conference preview.